President Biden criticized by members of his own party as polls show him losing to Republican hopefuls in almost every battleground state, the latest one, Georgia. For months now, rumors have swirled of a potential third-party run. Our next guest says he now plans to meet with the president before making a decision to, quote, move him to the center. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, who says he will not be running for another 6-year term, joins us now. Senator, great to see you.
Hey, Brian, great to be with you.
Are you really going to try to get on the president's schedule and try to move him to the center before you make a decision on your next step?
Well, first of all, I think no matter who your president is, whether you're for him or against the same party or not, you want your president to succeed. I think President Biden's been pushed too far to the left. I think he knows my feelings about that, and he should be coming back to the center or center left, which is where we make most of our decisions. It's where the economy is, and that's where the country is. There's not a successful person or a family that makes any decisions from the extremes and thinks it's going to exist or last. So we're trying to bring it back, and that's if I get a chance and they want to meet, I'm happy to meet with them.
Senator, you believe the border has basically collapsed. You've never seen it so bad. So in your estimation, we just had one of the leaders of the president's reelection committee come on with Bret Baier yesterday and said Donald Trump did nothing at the border and the border's better under Joe Biden. Do you think that's a correct assessment?
That is absolutely false. They are living in la-la land. It's a disaster, and they know it's a disaster. So let's fix it. And the only thing I would implore the president to do to consider this and to do it immediately. If Congress cannot come together because the perfect could be the enemy of the good, you have Republicans that might want to shut everything down, throw any type of immigration out the window, and you have Democrats who might think everything's fine. It's not fine. It's a disaster. It's dangerous. And I would implore the president to declare a national emergency and secure our border immediately if Congress can't do something this week.
Senator, one thing is pretty clear. You're definitely not going to run again for another term, but you do care about the country. Why wouldn't you do what Ronald Reagan did to Gerald Ford? Why wouldn't you do what Ted Kennedy did to Jimmy Carter and take a run within your own party for the nomination?
Here's the thing, the base of the party has taken the extremes clear to the extremes. And you have people on both sides. On the Republican side, you have some really center-right good people who I work with every day, and center-left people that we work with every day, trying to make basically good decisions for our country that are going to be great for our families and secure us. The bottom line, they're afraid to jump out there and do this or that. There's no base, and they're going to get beat up or they get primaried and this and that. I'm not running again because you cannot fix Washington inside of Washington. The business model, the Democrat and Republican Party is doing just well, Brian. They're doing extremely well financially, and you're not going to change that business model. So you need to go out, and we're talking to people. My daughter Heather and I are working together. She has a new 501c4, Americans Together, which is explaining to people how they can be more involved, have primaries are more opened up on majority votes, trying to change the gerrymandering way it's done, and all these districts are already cooked before you even run. It's going to be a Democratic district or Republican.
So you don't think that
things have to change?
I hear you, but so in other words, you don't think you get the nomination because the party has moved. Congressman Dean Phillips, who votes with the president on everything, thinks Joe Biden should be out. Listen to him.
Good man, losing to Donald Trump almost every national poll, every battleground state. His approval numbers are historically low, hard to recover from, and we know what's going to happen. And with Nikki Haley, it's even worse. So my contention is, why would Democrats walk into this delusion that's just going to be a nightmare?
You believe the same thing he believes, that he's about to lose?
Well, the polls, if you're looking at the polls right now, and we're quite a ways away from November, and I've said this before, Brian, after Super Tuesday, we'll see what happens in New Hampshire. I was just up there last week. Great people. It's a bellwether state. I wish the Democrats had basically competed more in that area, because there's more people who are no party affiliation, more independents registered there than there are Democrats and Republicans. Kind of gives you a feeling of where people are. So we got a good taste of that and understanding it. So I think after the Super Tuesday, when it basically is pretty much cleared out who's going to be the two. And if you're handicapping it and betting person right now, you would say that Joe Biden will be the nominee for the Democrats and that Donald Trump will be, then that's going to create some decisions have to be made and some options being available.
And then you'll decide if you're going to run. So if it's a rematch, Joe Manchin's in, and that no labels would be the place. And if they could get on 34 state ballots, clear 34 states, there's no way you won't jump in. Is that correct?
Well, no. The clear challenges right now for no labels, and this is a great organization who basically have a venue. They give you a venue where Democrats and Republicans can sit down and work out their differences. That started way back in 2010 when I first came to the Senate, and it was the only venue in town where you could actually do that. So I appreciate that very much. Their goal right now is to create options. If it's needed, there'll be an option. Right. And their option would be they have to get on 34 ballots to be serious about attracting anybody that might be interested in this third-party move.
Do you believe if they get on the ballots and you are their nominee, do you believe you'd win?
Well, I'm not going to be a spoiler. If there's a pathway forward, I've always been involved and very competitive. I would get involved. I'm going to definitely want to win, and I'm going to fight to win. I'm not going to go in there just trying to harm somebody or help somebody else. I want to make sure that we create a different option, bringing people together. Any way I can work to bring Americans together is what I'm going to be doing. And that's what I've been.
Robert Reich used to work with Clinton, said this is a dark money organization put together for Donald Trump's benefit. James Carville used an expletive to describe no labels. How do you describe it? Are they right?
Anytime you're creating an option, what's wrong with that? I mean, if they're trying to protect the business model of the Democrats or business model Republican, RNC and DNC, they're doing just fine. I understand that rhetoric. But why are you afraid of competition? Why are you afraid of options? Why are you afraid of people hearing a different voice? This is not right. This is not wrong. I don't have all the answers, but I can work with you and figure out how we can cure our greatest problems. And like I said, you have health care, you've got education, you've got border security, you've got an awful lot of things, and people in West Virginia aren't as much concerned about their portfolio as they are about their business, of how they take care of their families on a day-to-day basis.
And you're not against fossil fuels. You're for a strong border, and that got under the skin of these far-left activists. Describe what happened in this diner. These guys come running out and start screaming in your face and start jumping on your SUV. They were by your houseboat a short time ago. What was going on here?
Well, what happens? You have people on both sides of the aisle that what you have with the environmentalists. I've said this: you cannot eliminate your way to a clean environment. You can innovate it through technology. So the IRA, the bill that we did and we wrote there, was for energy security. And we're producing more energy today than ever before. But more oil and gas.
Who are these guys?
And they're paid activists. They are paid activists. The same group is there everywhere I go. I understand, and I try to talk to them, but they don't want to listen. I said, we are providing more secured energy today, and we're investing in the energy of the future of tomorrow. We can walk and chew gum. This is America, and we're bringing more business investments. But it's just the way they are. They just have one goal and one goal only, and that's the rights of Americans, but they don't have a right to come in private establishments. We're invited into a diner, we're invited here and there, and security's been very good on that, but I don't see them being harmful. They're just very loud and boisterous and want to be disruptive. They don't want to hear, and that's the perfect be the enemy of the good. Fossil, and we're doing fossil cleaner than anywhere in the world. We're leading the rest of the world and basically securing the pricing, staying stabilized right now. And with that, we're investing more than ever, bringing new technology, carbonless and carbon-free. So we're doing it all.
So just in review, you're going to look to get to meet with the president, and if he does not show you that he's going to move to the left, and the Super Tuesday shows a rematch, Joe Manchin is going to be on the no labels ticket.
Let's see what happens. There's a lot to go. There's a lot to go into that cake mix between now and then. Super Tuesday will give you a better indication, and if no labels is on 34 ballots, that's a whole nother scenario.
And it looks like you'll be in, and maybe Larry Hogan will be your running mate, or Mitt Romney.
A lot of great people. There's a lot of capable people of doing this, and we'll see what happens, how they're attracted.
But if you
It's
do
about
get
the
in,
country. It's about the country, Brian. My God, it's about the country. I've never met a Republican that hadn't been my friend. I've never met a Democrat that hadn't been my friend. I try to work with both.
Right.
But I've always been in that center middle, and I'm going to fight for that. And if I can go home to West Virginia and explain my vote, I'm good with it. If I can't explain it, you can't force me to vote for it.
Senator Joe Manchin, always great to talk to you. And we'll come back and we'll talk about how you're reforming college sports, too. We'll
Let's
do that another time.
Brian. We need to talk about NIL because it's going to destroy college sports as we know it.
All right. Let us know when you decide.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.